All right, back again, talking my TV. We are back again, and today we got another update on Schlep and an interview with Chris Hansen from Catch a Predator. Let's dive straight into it.
Someone who's been working with law enforcement and has been doing predator catching since before I was even born. So I decided to take a seat with Chris Hansen to catch some answers.
I'm Chris Hansen. I'm co-founder and correspondent reporter for the True Blue Streaming Crime Network. We do a lot of crime and investigative reporting. Our Takedown series, which exposes predators trying to exploit children online. And we also work on a number of documentaries, including this particular project, exposing the sort of thing that goes on Roblox.
I wanted to ask you about some of the comments that Roblox has specifically stated about like predator catching. One of the main complaints is pretending to be a child. I want to know your answer. It's kind of obvious, but the importance of using decoy accounts to just find different predators.
Well, we couldn't do it without using decoy accounts.
And that's coming from a professional child predator catcher. You can't do this stuff without decoy accounts, so you would have to pretend to be a child. The only way it would be wrong is if you're the one soliciting them into doing those things.
In the very beginning, we had an online watchdog group, Perverted Justice, do that work. And now, and for the last several years, it's been members of law enforcement who have posed as children online, merely sitting in one of these areas, and they wait to be approached by somebody who is seeking to exploit children. And then the conversation takes place. It all happens according to the law, and then that gets turned over. Now, I understand that anytime somebody is not with law enforcement, it gives pause to a corporation. It's like, okay, here's this kid. We don't know whether he's following the rules properly. We don't know if he's running this by a lawyer. Maybe you could argue that they just don't want that sort of activity on their platform, but you think they'd be more worried about the activity that you're exposing.
No, exactly. You should be more worried about the predators on the platform than the exposing of the predators on the platform.
That's what I've been trying to get at this whole time.
Worry about that, number one, and then you can have a conversation with young Schlep. I mean, if I were the CEO of Roblox, I would make you an ambassador for security.
Exactly. That would have been a good idea. They should have made him an ambassador for security. He could have been helping them catch them professionally.
I would get out in front of this thing and do what would be a fantastic promotional move. I'm a little dumbfounded that they haven't figured it out, given that these guys are in the high-tech world who invented this stuff in some ways. Why don't they get ahead of it and get a young guy on their team? That's what I'm doing.
I don't think they want to get ahead of it. I just think they just want to protect their reputation and hush anything that's going to make them look bad and ruin the stock price and ruin the dollar. But too bad, it's too late for that. You're already down.
With you, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
it's not that hard to figure out. I learned a long time ago that if you're not listening to the youngest guy or girl in the room, you're missing opportunity. You have to evolve and you have to keep on top of this technology and you have to bring new ideas into the room to do your job. My job is to expose bad people. You are helping.
I mean, the thing is, I made it very, very clear to Roblox since the beginning. Give us a private line. We are open to communicate with you. We want to talk with you guys. We know a lot of these really bad actors, and the first official contact I had with them was the cease and desist letter.
It's horrible from a public image standpoint. I mean, you're killing the messenger, right? It's not like you're out there tracking these guys down with, tasers and smoke guns. I mean, you're providing information to the platform to do something about it.
One of the major complaints that Roblox had about me was that I was actually going to law enforcement first before sending their report, just so that they would have a start to finish conversation of everything that took place. Did you guys ever reach out to social media sites before this sting goes down?
No, we always go to law enforcement. We work with law enforcement.
Roblox is being petty on this one. To say that they need to reach out to them first, that makes no sense when there's actually crimes being detected and they're reporting it and you're not doing anything about it. I'm going straight to the police first. If any crime happens, you should always go straight to the police first, regardless of platform.
In everything we do. And that is to ensure a successful prosecution. That's why the prosecution rate in these days is, like 99.1%. It's law enforcement first, then they can deal with the corporation. The corporation should be more concerned about reporting what it finds to law enforcement to investigate.
I'm going to read to you a quote from Roblox's corporate blog describing our operations. Similar to actual predators, they often impersonate my actively approach users and then try to lead them onto different platforms to have sexually explicit conversations. We obviously do
That's a false statement. They should not have said that because that's not true.
not talk to these predators. We don't impersonate real children. Our decoys are, adults.
Well, I think if they're mischaracterizing what you're doing, that's wrong. Based upon what you've said to me, you don't actively bait these guys in terms of making the first approach. You merely set up a profile as somebody who's underage, and you exist in that room until an adult approaches one of your decoys. Then if a conversation takes place, they get
Wow, you're okay with sucking my what?
exposed, and that information gets turned over to law enforcement. And in many cases, they do something, and then you report that both on your platform as a citizen journalist, a young guy working on these stories, and to Roblox to take action as a corporate citizen.
I thought it was kind of wild how they compared what we're doing to actual predators.
Well, if they're mischaracterizing what you're doing, yeah, that's horrible. This entire project is going to be healthy for Roblox, and it's going to be especially good for users of Roblox, because anything that creates awareness and a dialogue.
This needs to be done. We need to create an awareness and a dialogue about this and get this information out there, because Roblox is
Important. And
Roblox is clearly trying to cover this up.
you need to tell parents that this stuff exists, that these dangers are out there, and that if your child is approached by a predator, they need to come to the parents. I mean, that's
They're literally more worried about their shareholders. They're literally more worried about their shareholders than they are their customers and the children that are on their platform.
the first line of defense. It's great what you're doing. It's great what I do. And it's really great that law enforcement and the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children does all this work every day across the country. It's great that Roblox has a department that takes a look at some of this stuff. What's not great is the lack of connection here that could make it even better and safer. Until that happens, we have to show parents what goes on here, and they have to have the discussion with kids and say, hey, be careful.
What made you interested into getting into Roblox?
I was personally getting communications on social media saying, you need to look into this, you need to look into this, you need to look into this. And then we saw a big case down in Florida where a guy was arrested in Central Florida for and actually giving them Robux and having them exploit siblings and other. We had headlines down in Marion County, Florida, and so I started digging into it. We had good contacts with that sheriff's department there, and we actually, ironically, just did a predator sting, a takedown sting down there. So we started with an interview there, and it turns out that in the same jurisdiction, there was a 10-year-old girl who was exploited on Roblox by a man all the way over in England. And so we interviewed that victim's mother, and all of a sudden, all these cases.
That's crazy. He just happened to stumble upon a Roblox child predator case, investigating another case.
Cases started developing, including the lawsuit by the Attorney General in Louisiana.
That's interesting you mentioned Florida, because we got an arrest there. We got it in Polk County, and it was a guy who possessed.
Polk County, as you know, is where Sheriff Grady Judd is, and they're very active in this space.
Oh, yeah.
We do work with them.
That Sheriff Grady Judd, he does not play. That guy is serious.
As well. First of all, it breaks my heart, and I'm so sorry that you had to deal with this as a younger guy on this particular platform. The fact that you were bullied and preyed upon and advantage of, and that it went to the extent it did, it breaks my heart. And this is why we do these investigations. But to see you at your age turn it into a positive and do something about it, I think is incredible and admirable.
Thank you. I appreciate.
We all think he's doing the greatest thing ever.
For a guy who's been kicking around doing this for 42 or 43 years now, it's really cool, because when I started on television, I was your age. I was 22 years old. So when I see a young person do this kind of work, it's very impressive to me, because I know what it takes.
Yeah, I mean, it's very crazy when you start looking into this stuff. I mean, it's a rabbit hole. It only gets more disturbing the more you see it.
Well, and since we announced that we're doing this documentary and that you are collaborating, I am overwhelmed.
Oh, yeah. I saw a tweet on Twitter. It got 160,000.
Hell yeah. I bet he saw an uptick in his social media right there, right after announcing that.
likes that you're just even looking into the platform, because that's the thing. People have known about these issues for so long, but journalists haven't done enough to like really look into it, and now it's starting to break into the world where everybody is starting to start to be aware.
Now you're seeing more mainstream, outlets cover it. And look, we have the ability to infiltrate this world because we've been doing it for 21 years. First with To Catch a Predator, and for the last 2.5 years at True Blue, our streaming crime network, with Takedown. So we know how to do this and work with law enforcement. Now, a lot of people can go out and do this stuff independently, but here you are, a good example of somebody who has done the work and given it to law enforcement. And that's the key here, because if you expose these guys and, make fun of them and do a Borat kind of thing, like some other content creators, they often don't face the consequence.
When you do it to try to make funny or comedic videos, no, this is not type of prank type of thing. That's not going to work, and they would not get arrested if you do something stupid like that. You have to follow the rules and do the things the proper way to actually get these people behind bars.
They don't have to register as they don't get prosecuted.
Yeah, and I think the thing is too, a lot of the reason why I have to make this content is because we reach out to Roblox, we give them the emails, we give them all the information. They don't respond until after we publish a video that gets millions of views on YouTube. It makes me concerned, because if we're getting that, what are real victims getting?
Look, I understand a little bit Roblox situation here. What they're trying to do is follow the protocol. When they see something, they're mandated to report that to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children.
National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. So Roblox have to basically report to them first, and then they report it to the police?
Which then refers it to law enforcement. And that's good, and they should be doing that. But why they wouldn't also take advantage of information given to them, wrapped with a bow around it, as you have done, it's stunning to me that they wouldn't see the opportunity here to be an ally of yours as opposed to something.
Exactly. He gave them the full case, gift wrapped beautifully. Come on. And they don't even want to use it until it's exposed online and it gets millions of views, and then they want to do something about it after the fact.
Somebody who, they're making an example of and saying,
oh, for sure.
I don't understand that. From a corporate citizen aspect, it doesn't make sense. From a public relations standpoint, it doesn't make sense. And from a justice-seeking standpoint, it doesn't make sense. So I don't know, and I hope that during the course of this, that I'll get a chance to sit down with somebody at Roblox, and I have a feeling that's going to happen. But I'm going to be posing all of those questions when that interview takes place.
To young people who look up to you and see predators in online spaces, what is the single most important step that they can take to protect themselves?
I would be hesitant to tell people to conduct their own investigations, but I'm adamant that you got to report this stuff to your local law enforcement agency. You got to report it to the service provider. You got to report it to the platform. Hopefully, between those three things, you get some action. I think 15, 20 years ago, law enforcement would be a little overwhelmed by this and say, if you're in a small town, you go to the police department and say this happened.
These police stations and law enforcement now, they actually have like an IT and cyber tech officers on site now.
Say, okay, well, I'm not sure how to investigate it. Well, today, every department has the ability to investigate this stuff, and they are very willing to take these cases on.
It's an absolute honor to have Chris Hansen featured on this channel. Chris Hansen is flying me out soon to actually feature in his Roblox documentary about exploitation. With everything that we've learned so far.
All right, so that's Schlep and Chris Hansen's interview. If you want to check out the full video, go check it out on Schlep's channel. Give me a like and subscribe, and see you next time.